Hello there and a very warm welcome. You're with We On. I'm Molly Gambhir. Here's a look at the top stories and headlines we're tracking for you at this hour. One dead and 3 injured in a helicopter crash in the Goregaon area of India's western city of Mumbai. At least 29 killed and 166 injured in 2 explosions outside a football stadium in central Istanbul. OPEC and countries outside the group signed their first deal since 2001 to cut global oil production. ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson in line to be Trump's choice for Secretary of State. At least 60 killed after the roof of a crowded church collapses in southern Nigeria. Indian captain Virat Kohli scores a double 100 as India take control of the 4th test against England in Mumbai. One person is reportedly dead and 3 others are injured in a helicopter crash in RA colony in Mumbai's suburban Goregaon. Emergency services immediately rushed to the spot with the injured taken to hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, a fire at the crash site has now been extinguished by 3 fire engines. We will keep a close eye on the developments as they keep coming in.
ये जुहू से निकलकर जुहू जा रहा था हेलीकॉप्टर, उसमें 4 पैसेंजर सवार थे। लगभग 12:10 का इंसिडेंट है। एक चॉपर यहाँ पर क्रैश हुआ है। इसमें 4 लोग जो इंजर्ड थे उनको हॉस्पिटल ले गया है, 7 हिल्स हॉस्पिटल। पता चल रहा है कि उसमें का शायद एक का डेथ हो गया, बाकी के ऊपर वहाँ पर ट्रीटमेंट शुरू है।
At least 38 people have been killed, including 30 police officers, and over 150 injured in 2 explosions outside a football stadium in central Istanbul. Meanwhile, President Tayyip Erdogan attends the funeral of Istanbul blast victims. With the latest developments coming in, Turkey feels Kurdish militants may be behind the deadly soccer bombing. According to Turkey's interior minister, the blast was likely caused by a car bomb targeting a riot police bus. A suicide bomber then detonated 45 seconds after the first explosion. The United States, meanwhile, has strongly condemned the terror attack, saying it stands together with Turkey against all terrorists who threaten global peace and stability. So far, no one has claimed responsibility. Meanwhile, the government has declared a day of national mourning after the blasts.
Patlama olmadan önce 5 dakika kala kafeye çay içmeye gittim. O esnada yüksek bir sesle 30 saniye arayla 2 defa patlama sesi geliyor. Ama çok bayağı yüksek ve alevleri gördüm. O anda polis araçlarının ve belediye otobüsünün olduğunu gördüm. O anda da içerisinde polislerin olduğu olayı gördüm ve çok yaralılar olduğunu zannettim. Çünkü patlama çok büyük ve görevli olduğum Dolmabahçe Camisi'nde de camların komple kırıldığını gördüm 5 dakika sonra.
Hain ve alçak bir planla gerçekleştirilmiş bir olay. 2 patlama olduğu arkadaşlarımız tarafından değerlendirildi ve birisi tam stadın hemen üzerinde Süzer Plaza ile yan yana olan daha önce Beleştepe denilen yerde, diğerisi de Maçka Parkı'nda. Maçka Parkı'ndaki canlı bomba olduğu değerlendiriliyor.
News from the Middle East. At least 20 people have died and 35 injured in an explosion at the Coptic Cathedral Church near Egypt's capital city of Cairo. There has been no immediate claim of responsibility. This is the second blast within a week after twin roadside bomb blasts killed 6 policemen and injured 6 others. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has said the Islamic State has no place in Indonesia, the world's largest Muslim nation. The president's statement comes amidst the growing concerns that the Southeast Asia was becoming a fertile ground for the Islamic State. Widodo, ahead of his visit to India, said that Indonesia opposes all forms of extremism and said the country will cooperate with all countries to fight terrorism. His comments came in the backdrop of the remarks made by Singapore Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam that the Islamic group has consolidated its hold in Southeast Asia. Indonesia has witnessed several militant attacks, the latest being the bomb blast in the capital city of Jakarta, killing 8 people. Turkish warplanes destroyed 39 Islamic State targets and killed 4 militants in northern Syria on Saturday. A video released by the Islamic State-affiliated Amaq news agency showed the aftermath of the airstrikes on Al-Bab, which is a key northern Syrian town held by the group. Meanwhile, Turkey's foreign minister said on Friday that Ankara-backed rebels were closing in, with Turkish tanks and warplanes supporting the assault. The battle between Syrian forces and rebels has caused heavy damage to the old city in Aleppo. Residents say they are shocked at the extent of the damage to the World Heritage Site. Here's more on that.
After the Syrian army fought rebels in Aleppo's old city, hungry and terrified civilians have emerged from their cellars into a wasteland of ruins. Some areas of the UNESCO World Heritage Old City, recaptured by the government in the last few days, were completely destroyed by fighting. Old markets and bathhouses have also been flattened.
والله صار لي 5 سنين طرق قلبي.
هاي أول مرة بتيجي؟
هاي أول مرة، سمعت إني عم دخلوا مش زي جيت.
The insurgents are holed out in a handful of areas mostly south of the historic old city. Having lost nearly 3/4 of territory they controlled for years in divided Aleppo in the space of around 2 weeks. Mohammed Shaban, the former director of Aleppo Museum, said he was shocked and sad by the extent of the damage.
أنا مصدوم جدا وحزين ومتفاجئ من المشهد اللي شفته. جيت قبل لهون ما كان هيك. شيء فظيع. شيء فظيع. هالدمار دمروا الحضاره، دمروا التراث. منطقه اقدم مناطق اثريه في العالم. الدمار يعني اكثر من 70%. في مناطق 100%. في نقاط 100%.
Human rights groups say hundreds of people have been killed in the fighting in recent weeks. Thousands of people have left rebel-held districts. Some have fled to government-held areas, but others have gone to other areas under the control of the rebels, fearing arrest and reprisals by government forces. Russia, whose military intervention helped turn the war in President Assad's favor, says the Syrian government now controls 93% of Aleppo. Its recapture would deal a major blow to rebels who have fought to unseat Assad in the nearly 6-year civil war. Bureau Report, WION.
The Syrian army has consolidated its hold on the rebels in Aleppo, but the army has suffered an unexpected setback as the Islamic State militants recaptured many parts of the ancient city of Palmyra. Almost 9 months after being driven out by the Syrian army, the Islamic State had been advancing on the ancient Syrian city since Thursday. The militants launched a surprise attack on Syrian forces to regain the territory. Regaining control of Palmyra would be seen as a huge symbolic win for the ISIS, following months of losses across Syria, Iraq and Libya. Meanwhile, the US has announced to send additional 200 troops to back the offensive. OPEC countries and other oil producers outside the group have reached their first deal since 2001 to cut global oil production. The deal was finally signed on Saturday after almost a year of discussion. Under the signed agreement, Russia has committed to reducing its real output of petroleum. But the last time OPEC signed a similar deal 15 years ago, Russia failed to keep its promise to cut production. Last week, OPEC also agreed to slash output by 1.2 million barrels per day from 1st January 2017, with top exporter Saudi Arabia making a big cut.
Our agreement is really stemmed from the sense of responsibility towards the balancing of the market, which will lead to positive results not only for producers and exporters, but also to consumers.
ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson is being considered by Donald Trump for the key role of Secretary of State. Officials from Trump's transition team said the president-elect met Tillerson on Tuesday and may talk to him again over the weekend. If Tillerson is named in Trump's cabinet, his business ties will come under close scrutiny. ExxonMobil has operations in more than 50 countries and boasts that it explores for oil and natural gas on 6 continents. The U.S. Central Intelligence Agency has concluded that Russia did interfere to help Donald Trump win the U.S. elections. The report comes after U.S. President Barack Obama earlier ordered a review of alleged cyber attacks during the election campaign. The hacks targeted the private emails of Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton, but Trump's transition team has slammed the intelligence agency, denying any involvement.
We're also going to be, I'm going to be holding their feet to the fire to make sure that they
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, meanwhile, said he would order a thorough investigation into the visa abuses that undermine the jobs of the American laborers. Trump's statement is a strong indication that the foreign workers, including Indians, might face tough scrutiny under his rule. During his presidential campaign, Trump, remember, had emphasized on formulating strict rules on immigration. Staying with the U.S., Secretary of State John Kerry has been granted France's highest award, the Légion d'Honneur, on Saturday. The award was bestowed on Kerry in Paris after he held talks on Syria's war. Kerry, recalling his early childhood memories, said he recalled that he had visited France in the wake of the Second World War, too young then to fully comprehend his mother's anguish at the devastation of the conflict. John Kerry, who speaks French, said the honor was a symbol of the warm relationship between France and the United States.
I know this is a time of uncertainty. I ask you not to be diminished by the cross-currents that are flowing through the world today, because I'm convinced, and I really believe this, I see the world, I see the glass as definitively half full, not half empty.
On to South Korea now. The prosecutors have charged 2 former officers of the scandal-hit President Park Geun-hye. Park's former economic advisor Chon Mong-dong and former Vice Culture Minister Kim Chong were indicted on charges of abuse of power, corruption and wielding improper influence. Park is accused of colluding with a friend and former aide to pressure big businesses to donate to 2 foundations set up to back her policy initiatives. The UN Security Council demanded that Gambia's leader Yahya Jammeh hand over the power to President-elect after he rejected the election results in a dramatic political U-turn. In a unanimous statement, the 15 council members called on Jammeh to respect the choice of the sovereign people of the Gambia and transfer the power without condition and undue delay to the President-elect Mr. Adam Barrow. Gambian leader Yahya Jammeh on Friday said that he rejects the outcome of last week's election and has called for fresh polls. Jammeh has been an unpopular leader during his tenure, and various human rights agencies have accused him of torturing and killing his opponents. Barrow had been expected to take over in late January next year. At least 60 people were killed after a roof of a crowded church collapsed onto them in southern Nigeria. Hundreds of people, including Akwa Ibom State Governor Odom Emmanuel, were inside the church when metal girders crashed onto worshippers and the iron roof caved in. However, the governor survived the disaster. The church was still under construction and workers had rushed in to complete it for the ordination. The death toll could mount as rescue work is still underway. At least 16 people were killed in a powerful car explosion near the port of the Somali capital Mogadishu. A total of 48 people were also wounded in the attack that was targeted at security forces and port workers. Residents described that the blast could be heard across the city and a plume of smoke could be seen above the skyline. However, no group has claimed responsibility so far for the attack. In Kenya, at least 25 people were killed and several vehicles were torched after a tanker carrying chemical gas exploded. The tanker lost control on a downhill stretch of the road in Nairobi and burst into flames after smashing into other vehicles. The horrific accident happened late on Saturday night.
I was driving the vehicle, my own. And hivyo tumefika hapa, mimi nikaona sauti iko kwa mlima juu. Kuangalia nimeona moto kama imekuja kwetu. Nimejaribu kufungua map.
On that note, taking a very short break, much more coming your way on the other side. Stay tuned.